Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I have had a lot of people ask me how to make a chunky blanket, so I have decided it's time to actually make a video about it. Disclaimer though, I am not a professional. I have little to no experience in knitting or crocheting, but hey, that just means this project is for any person at any level. With that out of the way, let's get into it. First, you're going to need chunky yarn. Today I'll be using Yarn Bee, spelled like a bumblebee, in the collection Eternal Bliss, and in the color Spa Blue. And then you'll also need a pair of scissors and your wit. You can pause and go back in the video at any time if you need to, but I will be walking through a couple of rows with you. So we're going to start with a simple slip knot. And then you're going to take that yarn that's underneath your loop and pull it through. Make sure your loops aren't too big, otherwise your blanket will be all flappy and won't stay together very well. And you'll just keep on pulling those through until it eventually looks like a braid. And look at that! She looks so pretty. Now we're going to work on the second row. You're going to pull them through the sides of the braid. Alright, now the hard step is over, finally. The rest is pretty easy. I think the only somewhat difficult thing is just remembering how to do the edges. But see how your yarn is facing away from your little bit? You want to turn the yarn to go back the other way. Just insert it into that last hoop that you just made, and now you've made row 3. I'll explain that a little better on the next row, but I did want to mention hoops. So you want to make sure that your hoops are not absolutely ginormous or exceedingly small, because the big ones, it won't stay together, it'll just become a giant ball of yarn, and little hoops won't have enough room for your next row. I usually do about like half the length of my finger. It usually does the trick. And you also want to make sure that you don't pull too hard, because as you can see, they just pop right through. I mean, if this does happen, it's an easy fix. You can fix it, like if you don't see it now, you can just take some extra yarn that you have and tie it to the blanket. I have definitely done that before. So I am not a wordsmith, but I do have this visual demonstration that's a lot better at explaining what the heck is happening with the edge pieces. Alright, this is where I wanted to mention, if you want to change colors or if you run out of yarn, you can just tie the next one on. You can tie the next color to the edge right before you start your new row. I won't judge you artistically if you do it in the middle of it. Honestly, I would love to see any pictures of any of y'all who have watched this video. If you'd like to, you could comment like pictures of your finished product. I would love to see all of these. And here is what it should start looking like. This is what I call the front, and this is the back of the blanket. Mainly because this side just, I don't know, feels a lot better on skin. But now we are reaching the point to where we are finishing the blanket. Whoop-diddly-hoo, what a journey. Alright, what's so special about this row is that these loops need to be a little bit bigger than the previous ones you've done so many of. I'd say they need to be about 2 times bigger, I believe. I think that's how I measure them, I think. They should be like actual loops instead of like, you know, little hills, I guess. I don't know. See, whoop, it's like a little hill. Alright, now for the interesting part. You're going to take that last loop, and you're going to take the other loop before it, and pull it through. Once again, not much of a wordsmith. Now, I messed up and had my loops going away from the leftover yarn. Just so you guys know, you need to start crossing your loops on the opposite end of where your leftover yarn is, so you can use that yarn to tie it off. But if you accidentally do what I did, I will show you how I fix it later on. And see, now it's starting to form like a cute little braid, kind of like you have at the top of the blanket. Because of my little mishap, I now have 3 corners of this blanket that I gotta take care of. I got my little loop, leftover yarn over here, leftover yarn over there. But for the top one, I just tie it through. And since there's so much of it, I'm actually gonna use it to tie that little loop in the bottom corner. And you can tie it really to any little spot. You won't even be able to really notice. So any little loop that's close by, you can use it on. And just cut the little leftover piece off and then use it for this wee little loop at the bottom. cut off the excess. And then we gotta take care of the long one, which is actually not that difficult. Just cut a little piece off, and you just use that to tie it off like you did the other two ends. If you messed up like me. If you didn't mess up like me, then you only have two ends that you have to tie up. Where you started and where you ended. And that is the finished product. I don't really know what I'm going to use this for, but yours is probably bigger. Speaking of size, for this one I barely even used a whole ball of yarn. I know that it takes quite a lot of these balls of yarn to complete one blanket. My most recent one being a queen size, and that took about 20 balls of yarn, those big ones, but that's because I was changing in between 3 colors. If you do like a consistent color or maybe 2 colors, then it will probably take a little less. Actually, let me introduce you to my queen. I absolutely love her. She's so soft and comfortable. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sticking with us. We love you. Have a spectacular day.